Several writers have noted the odd fact that the Libyan rebels took time out from their rebellion in March to create their own central bank, this before they even had a government.
What about this? As the United Nations works feverishly to condemn Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi for cracking down on protesters, the body's Human Rights Council is poised to adopt a report chock full of praise for Libya's human rights record.
Whatever might be said of Gaddafi's personal crimes, the Libyan people seem to be thriving. A delegation of medical professionals from Russia, Ukraine and Belarus wrote in an appeal to Russian President Medvedev and Prime Minister Putin that, after becoming acquainted with Libyan life, it was their view that in few nations did people live in such comfort.
Libyans are entitled to free treatment and their hospitals provide the best in the world of medical equipment. Education in Libya is free. Capable young people have the opportunity to study abroad at government expense. When marrying, young couples receive 60,000 Libyan dinars, about $50,000 of financial assistance. Non-interest state loans in his practice shows undated. Due to government subsidies, the price of cars is much lower than in Europe and they are affordable for every family. Gasoline and bread cost a penny, no taxes for those who are engaged in agriculture. The Libyan people are quiet and peaceful, are not inclined to drink and are very religious.
Another explanation for the assault on Libya is that it is all about oil, but that theory, too, is problematic. As noted in the National Journal, the country produces only about 2% of the world's oil. And if it's all about oil, why the rush to set up a new central bank?
Another provocative bit of data circulating on the net is a 2007 Democracy Now! Interview of U.S. General Wesley Clark, retired. In it he says that about 10 days after September 11, 2001, he was told by a general that the decision had been made to go to war with Iraq. Clark was surprised and asked why. "I don't know," was the response. "I guess they don't know what else to do." Later, the same general said they planned to take out 7 countries in 5 years: Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan and Iran.
What do these 7 countries have in common? In the context of banking, one that sticks out is that none of them is listed among the 56 member banks of the Bank for International Settlements. That evidently puts them outside the long regulatory arm of the central banker's central bank in Switzerland.
The most renegade of the lot could be Libya and Iraq, the 2 that have actually been attacked. Kenneth Shortkin Jr., writing on Examiner.com, noted, 6 months before the U.S. moved into Iraq to take down Saddam Hussein, the oil nation had made the move to accept euros instead of dollars for oil, and this became a threat to the global dominance of the dollar as the reserve currency and its dominion as the petrodollar. Quotes.
According to a Russian article titled, "Bombing of Libya, Punishment for Gaddafi for his attempt to refuse US dollar," Gaddafi made a similarly bold move. He initiated a movement to refuse the dollar and the euro and called on Arab and African nations to use a new currency instead, the gold dinar. Gaddafi suggested establishing a united African continent, with its 200 million people using this single currency. During the past year, the idea was approved by many Arab countries and most African countries except South Africa and the head of the League of Arab States. The initiative was viewed negatively by the USA and the European Union, with French President Nicolas Sarkozy calling Libya a threat to the financial security of mankind, but Gaddafi was not swayed and continued his push for the creation of a united Africa.
One seldom mentioned fact by Western politicians and media pundits: the Central Bank of Libya is 100% state-owned. The Libyan government creates its own money, the Libyan dinar, through the facilities of its own central bank. Few can argue that Libya is a sovereign nation with its own great resources, able to sustain its own economic destiny. One major problem for globalist banking cartels is that in order to do business with Libya, they must go through the Libyan central bank in its national currency, a place where they have absolutely zero dominion or power-broking ability. Hence, Taking down the Central Bank of Libya may not appear in the speeches of Obama, Cameron and Sarkozy, but this is certainly at the top of the globalist agenda for absorbing Libya into its hive of compliant nations.
An article on the BIS website states that central banks in the Central Bank Governance Network are supposed to have as their single or primary objective to preserve price stability. They are to be kept independent from government to make sure that political considerations don't interfere with this mandate. Price stability means maintaining a stable money supply, even if that means burdening the people with heavy foreign debts. Central banks are discouraged from increasing the money supply by printing money and using it for the benefit of the state, either directly or as loans.
In a 2002 article in Asia Times titled, "The Bank of International Settlements versus National Banks," Henry Liu maintained the BIS regulations serve only the single purpose of strengthening the international private banking system, even at the peril of national economies. The BIS does to national banking systems what the IMF has done to national monetary regimes. National economies under financial globalization no longer serve national interests. Foreign direct investment denominated in foreign currencies, mostly dollars, has condemned many national economies into unbalanced development toward export, merely to make dollar-denominated interest payments to FDI, with little net benefit to the domestic economies.
So, is this new war all about oil or all about banking? Maybe both, and water as well. With energy, water and ample credit to develop the infrastructure to access them, a nation can be free of the grip of foreign creditors. And that may be the real threat of Libya. It could show the world what is possible. If the Gaddafi government goes down, it will be interesting to watch whether the new central bank joins the BIS, whether the nationalized oil industry gets sold off to investors, and whether education and healthcare continue to be free.